to all my amazing friends out there. Okay, today um, I want to talk about really all of this women's marches and things like that because people deserve the truth. They not only deserve the truth, whether they're whatever gender they are, they deserve equality. Some people don't like the truth, and those people I won't stay loyal to. If people ignore the problems by ignoring the truth, then they hurt people by that ignorance. And those people don't actually deserve my loyalty. That's my stand, really, basically. And I want to stand by truth, not by particular gender or, you know, it doesn't matter who you are, what sexuality you are. It's about truth and equality that really has to be dealt with. People are gullible and they think that they have power when they go to the polls and are faced by two choices. When they see the lies of George W. Bush, Obama, they will see that either Trump told the truth and is a madman racist, a woman hater who will build walls and separate people, or he could shake the hands of other world leaders and create peace on a greater level. We're living in a matrix of words, actions, and reactions. Words mean little without actions to back them up. Words are magic, and as my lovely friend Mike Vincent would agree, magic is an elegant deception. We can stand in protest of what is and cause riots and havoc in the streets right now and add to the problem. Or we can sit and wait and accept what is and see what is hidden behind the words, what action is taken and what reaction and solution comes from this. Or we can get more of the same or worse. The trick to life is to accept what is and stop fighting to change it. Because as we fight to change something, we join the fight against peace, and that the magic trick then becomes revealed. The magic trick is all about patience, seeing what becomes revealed first. Yes, we dislike the words that Trump uses, but he's a businessman and he keeps his business hidden under a cloak of deception. I'd like to look upon this with hope and see what transpires. There could be a surprise or two up his sleeve, and if it turns out that the trick is a nasty one, then take action for change. Because we're all too quick to judge and scream and yell at what we don't want without really knowing what it is we do want. And if it is peace that we want, then we must action peace, not haste or anger. As for the Women's March, frankly, I don't want other women speaking on my behalf for me, least of all Hillary Clinton. She lost for a reason, and that reason is that nobody liked her too, even to the point of voting for someone like Trump over and above her. Now, this is a person who was forgiven the leering and leching of her husband for many, many years. And I speak for myself and I say women and men need to stop this fight over the sexes. We need to support one another as with all diverse types of people. If we don't, we just stand by each other and accept that we are all living on one planet together, then we lose. All this girl power, white power, black power, it's all a part of the same problem that won't go away until we get it. There is only the power within us to stand and say what is right for ourselves as individuals, and to say, I will not be divided from my fellow human beings, whatever their sex, their colour, their sexual orientation, or race. Now, I love all people, and where one is in power who tries to divide me from anyone else, then I stand by those who are being divided. And any who don't can live in their communities of all should live in the communities of all women or all black or all white. That's not really what we want ultimately, is it? The anger within themselves will soon turn against one another in those separated too. It is tolerance within that can only bring peace in our world, and that peace starts with me and within me. And it requires all of us to understand that that peace also it starts within each of us ourselves. If you have something to say about equal rights rather than women's rights over men's rights, march outside the Saudi embassy and protest against the whipping and murder of women there. To my mind, this whole thing is more about women power than it is about equal rights. This is a reason among many why I cannot support Western feminism. Western feminists selfishly look out for no one else other than Western women. They don't care about the rights of Eastern women, and any support Western feminists do show for Eastern women is counterproductive. They say, well, that's their culture. Until Western feminists can support world equality rather than just feminism, I don't support them. All this does is prove to the Eastern men that if they give women power, they try to take over. One debate I recently got into on an app, another woman said to me, "I'm not quite sure if you actually have looked into the platform for the march, and the reason that women like that are in reality shows." Because I'd actually pointed out that actually there's a lot of women on things like Big Brother who are going about with their boobs out, with their wiping their backsides on other young men on their heads and things like that. Now, if it was the other way around, a man would immediately be evicted from the house or taken out, and it would absolutely be disgusting. All the headlines would be disgusting about this individual, but it wasn't. It was a woman. So this woman then goes on to say, people like that on reality shows, which are usually somewhat scripted to get more views, is because they will get views. And men like to get boobs and arse stuck in their face because a lot of them are like that, unless they're gay. I don't think it's hypocritical at all. I have gone to many protests for healthcare reform. That issue is for every human being. So, like I suggested in the first reply, go look into the real reason for the protest, especially one where in Washington, D.C. Maybe take a look at what the people were chanting and what some of the many signs have been said. Hundreds of issues were on display at that march. Maybe you have never experienced sexual harassment in the workplace or not getting paid as much as a man does. That your same job being publicly sexually harassed on a subway train like I have, then you're lucky, but you have to at least put in perspective that lots of women have gone through many of these issues. So I don't think it's wrong for them to stand up and ask to be treated as equals fully in every aspect of life. And just because women in less advanced countries are more oppressed does not mean that we have to wait for them to catch up, because that's relying on those men that control those countries, and that's going to take a lot of time. And it's very hard to do so. We need to start with our own neighbourhoods to inspire other women of the world to do the same. Well, my reply to this was, what you just wrote above is exactly my point. The reason men like women is biological, not a perversion. I've had two men gang up on me in a court of law for two different reasons. If I could face each one separately instead of two issues being made into one, and for it to have been made out that I'm a criminal because I have two different reasons to have chosen the actions that I took, then I may have gained justice. In this case, I don't blame men, but the way the justice system allowed that to happen. All of this harassment and stuff is going on in the Obama presidency too. So why is it happening now? I'll tell you why. It's because they don't like Trump, and it's personal. Madonna was an avid Hillary supporter. And so, yes, I have been treated unfairly by men, but I have also been treated unfairly by women too. I've seen women be absolutely spiteful and downright lie about being raped to hurt a man. It isn't about the battle of the sexes. It's a battle against certain issues, and those issues can be dealt out as equally to other women as it can men. And if you don't like sexual harassment in the workplace, you can campaign against that, because women harass women in the workplace too, and they can be 20 times more nasty. They can spread lies and rumours that are untrue. They can cause isolation. And it's rarely men who do that. And if you don't like Trump, that's fine. But then the American people have had the vote. He hasn't touched them all, has he? And if he's touched somebody, then that person needs to be taking Trump to court for it. And when the sexes gang up on the opposite sex, they become oppressed. So deal with the issues, not the people. Politics is like a game of cards in the end. It's who can win over who and who can bluff who. And that should not play out in our daily lives, but sadly it does. Everyone is wanting power over someone, and it is that we should be fighting against. That's why I don't like it that we have one person and their minions representing every single individual. They have their agenda and they hold their cards close to their chest until they're forced to reveal them. And it's all a game played with people's lives. Now, I'd like to talk about what's his name, Bob Geldof. Now, he really did campaign for Fathers for Justice, and I've spoken about these issues before. Now, I know that once he had children, he'd had girl children, and their children, these girls were having children. Then perspectives change, and so those ideas then become suddenly they have to back down on those ideas. Now, it is the problem that we all seem to get into this angry mode when we've lost or something, and we fail actually ourselves when we do that because we're just fighting for ourselves and our own rights. But perspectives change as they go on. My thoughts on Brexit now as well, on the Brexit front, is that it's an inevitable storm brewing off the coast that's coming our way, and we cannot stop it from happening. And everybody's sort of up in arms about that, but it's going to happen. So we need to stop being so defeatist, and we have to get on with talks with Brussels to put right the mess once it's happened. And exactly the same with every aspect of our lives. We can't go about shouting, we don't like this, we don't like that. It's happening. So deal with it. Worse things, terrible things have happened to me, and I've had to just take hold of it as part of my life and cope with it and not sit with my hands in my head. I've done everything I can to try and change it, and if you can't change it, then you have to deal with that fact. Shouting and yelling only makes people feel insecure, angry, fearful. What if we all look for the silver lining? No more paying billions into groups into the EU. Now that money can be invested here. We need a greater Britain, and Britain needs people to trust in it and build it up here, not sell it off to other areas. People seem to have this need to always be in this state of fight or flight rather than stay, roll your sleeves up and deal with it and just get on with it. I thought that's what the people of the UK were about. Sadly, we have become lazy and we think we need to rely on everyone else, and we don't believe in our own country anymore, or its people, or its people's creativity, but it always turns out into a Brexit fight. And personally, or a male women fight, a gender fight, or a race fight. Personally, I've struggled with my family, a family and a child with a disability, and things going wrong all my life. And as soon as something goes wrong, you just accept and say, well, how can we move forward with this? Because everything is forward moving, time is forward moving. Things can change eventually, and we're stuck in something which we don't want it to be. But it's no good holding our placards up and saying, I don't want this, because that's not going to make a difference. What makes a difference is the change within us personally. And if there's something that needs to be changed, then we need to change that now and move forward with it and accept how it is and change with it. So it's about people. We can't sort of say to this man, please help us now. We want this law to be this law. It begins with all of us. It's not about the man in power. It's about us people. It's about women and men getting together and supporting each other in this. And it's about respect of one another, not I'm more powerful than you and you're more powerful than me and I need to get in power to be able to make a difference. We need to make a difference in our own lives, individual lives, and do it now. So my way of doing things when shit hits the fan is I always look for the solutions, and that's what we need to be doing. Look for solutions instead of sitting with hands in our head in our hands and saying, woe is me. And, there are different ways forward. Like Jeremy Corbyn has often said, there's ways forward because we can, we can do the deals and we can do the talks, but we can't do the talks if we totally fall out with the people we want to be talking with. And that's where the problem lies. So once again, thank you everybody. I hope you've enjoyed today's thing. I'm sure people will have something to say against what I've had to say right here. Bless you all for listening. Namaste. Love to all. Bye for now.